Hey Jay,
Hey,
we're going to talk about palmistry today.
I know. Fun.
So exciting. I
Yeah.
didn't know really anything about this.
I follow a couple people on Instagram who do it. It's very interesting.
It's so interesting. So we did an episode on face readings.
Yes.
And from there, I
Mhm.
think we had mentioned like, oh, it's like palmistry. And people said,
Yep.
the people said,
We want this.
let's do the palmistry.
Yeah. Well, I think you hear more about that than the face reading.
I think you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our best guess of when it originated
Mm-hmm.
is in ancient India.
Okay.
Now, if you look this up, you will find people who disagree
Mhm.
and say it originated here or there.
Okay.
But this is one of those pagan concepts that everybody was doing back in the day
Right.
in their own way.
Right.
It's very similar to astrology in a lot of ways, in my
Mhm.
opinion. And it's also similar in that, like, if you do sort of like the classic Indian style palm reading,
Mhm.
or you get a palm reading for someone who does it in like the Chinese way,
Mhm.
they're going to be different.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you're going to find different information about this.
Right.
And like we say on every episode we do this, have somebody who is a licensed palm reader
Professional.
read your palm for you.
Yes. Yes.
This is also, palm reading is very, like face reading, it's very intricate. Like there's lots
Mhm.
of things to know. And like astrology, like you can learn a little bit of it to know, but you really need someone who knows what they're talking about to tell you about it. So we're just going to go over some basics,
Right.
really, because you should, if you find this interesting, you should dive in. There's so many great books on it.
Yeah.
You can take courses to be certified, do all of those things.
I think it's so weird that palm reading is like one of the few things that modern pop culture has sort of grabbed onto to, mock intuition.
Yeah.
Like that, like I feel like it's either like I see dead people,
Hmm.
or it's like some stranger walked up to me, like in a
Yeah.
like it's in a movie, right? Like someone
Yeah.
walks up to the main character and
Right.
like reads their palm and is like,
Right.
"You're gonna die in 2 days."
Well,
You know what I mean? It's like
yeah.
this co-opted weird thing that's been
Yeah.
like twisted and turned, like we always talk about, and it's just I think it's really interesting, like what we choose.
It's funny you should say that,
Oh, okay.
because I wanted to know why that was when I
Okay.
was researching.
Yeah.
So what I found out was that the Roma people,
Yes.
who are sometimes referred to as gypsies, which is not a good term.
It's a slur.
We don't use that
No,
term
they
anymore.
hate that term.
Yeah, so I'm just using it to let
Yeah.
people know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
But the Roma people,
Mhm.
which you have to remember back in the day, back in
Right.
pagan times, there were no lines drawn around the countries, or there were, but they weren't the same as they are now.
Right.
So when you're going like, well, where were the Roma people from? It's
Right.
very difficult because you can't say one country.
Yep.
Some of them were in northern India,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Right.
And then they were all around, like Turkey, and like all of
Yeah,
these,
they're
this
travelers,
is the same
right.
area, and they were
Yep.
nomadic.
Yeah, like
For-
pagans.
Yes,
Right.
but they were nomadic for even longer
Right.
than most pagans, so that's why
Right.
they stood out.
Yep.
So these people
Mhm.
still are, but
Mhm.
have been through time, a lot of prejudice and
Oh
stereotyping,
yeah, absolutely.
shit thrown their way.
Yep.
And they did palm readings.
Okay.
So they took palm reading and they spread it around because they were moving.
They were traveling.
And this is where, like, what you know as fortune telling and a
Mhm.
crystal ball, it all stems
From
from
that.
palm
Interesting.
reading.
Love
So this is going to shock you, Jamie. You've never thought of this before. But we as a culture, if it's not something that originated in a white ancient time,
Mm-hmm.
we don't like it.
Yeah, we don't respect it.
And we think it's silly, or, we're,
Yeah.
oh, okay,
Or
this
evil.
this is not white,
Right.
patriarchal.
Linked to
know.
Christianity.
Yes.
Right. So then it's bad. It's evil. It's a trick.
Right.
Right.
And now, if you study the Roma people, which I recommend you do
I do
because
too.
they're fascinating,
Mhm.
you'll see that in some groups of them, they were purposely trying to trick the white people
Mhm.
into giving them their money. And to me, I just clap for them doing that. I
Yeah.
mean, no one should be cheated, but you know
Well,
what I'm
right.
saying? Like, they were being oppressed.
Yeah, the white people had the upper hand.
Yeah,
Right,
and so they
exactly.
were very poor, most of
Mhm.
them in this time, and they're traveling around. And so some of them were scamming
Hustling,
people
right.
with palmistry and crystal ball readings and all of that stuff,
Right.
right? So like, it gets all murky when you look at our history,
Right.
but sort of to answer your question, I think that's why. I think
Right.
that's why we're like, ooh, palm reading.
Well,
But at the
right.
same time, you're walking down the street on vacation or for a bachelorette party and everyone stops to get a palm reading and is blown away by how accurate it is.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that, I think throughout time, especially right now and what's happening in our world right now, like you see that when things are told through the lens of whiteness, it's like someone was tricking someone, or someone was hustling someone,
Yeah.
or someone was attacking someone.
Right.
But we don't ever tell the story of why.
Why?
Why were they in the position that they felt like they had to do that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you still hear that where people are being like, oh, they're on welfare and taking advantage of the system. And it's like,
Right.
wait a minute.
Well,
what else is going on?
Yeah, exactly.
Going on
Why
around
are,
it?
right.
And
Why are they in that position?
Why are you just
What's
looking
the
through that
system doing?
lens? Yes.
Right.
Why did they get to the position of being so oppressed anyways? And when you look at that, you start to have a different perspective.
Right, but no
on
one
things.
wants to talk about that.
No, except us. We want to talk about it all the time, incessantly. Yes. Okay. So palmistry is also known as palm reading. It's also known as chiromancy, I believe is how you pronounce it.
Okay.
So the definition, I created this I mashed up a bunch of different ones, but I liked this one the best.
Okay.
So you evaluate a person's character and personality as well as aspects of life and their future by studying the palm of their hand.
Okay.
Okay. There are many schools of thought, like I said, on this. So you're going to hear me say stuff and maybe you learned it a little different.
Mm-hmm.
Totally normal. I looked
Right.
through a bunch of different articles. They were different. You know what I mean? So I tried to take the ones that were the most kind of basic across
Right.
the board
Yep.
and give those to you, but you will hear different things.
Okay.
You also have your non-dominant hand and your dominant hand, and they mean different things.
Okay.
So if you're getting a palm reading, most palm readers will look at both of your hands,
Okay.
but then they will like take a glance, but then they'll study one a little bit more.
Okay.
It just depends on their school of thought. But your non-dominant hand is your natural personality and character and your potential and aspirations.
Okay.
Okay. And then your dominant hand will say how those traits play out in your life.
Oh, okay.
So if you're like, oh, who are you?
So
Non-dominant
they look
hand.
here. Right.
And then, oh, how's your life going?
that makes sense.
Dominant hand.
Yep.
One of the things that I think is really interesting about this, and this is like personal to me, this is very niche, but I want to bring it up.
This is Heather coded.
Heather coded. When I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
this, in case you're like keeping score of the things that Early pointed on me having autism, you can add this to it. I had a lot of trouble picking a dominant hand.
Oh yeah.
Like it took me a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked the right hand.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother will tell you to this day that she feels bad because she thinks she influenced me that way. And I should have been left-handed. So I do
Interesting.
stuff very ambidextrously. Like
Yes.
I put eyeliner on with my left hand, but I write
really?
with my right hand.
Wow.
But I couldn't do the other things with the other hands.
Wow.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm always like, is that right? Like, would a palm reader ask me that?
Correct.
You know what I mean?
I was also thinking when you were saying that like there was a whole generation of people, at least in America, that weren't allowed to be left-handed. They
Yeah.
would have like their hands slapped, and
Yeah.
when they were learning to write, like they were forced to be
I
right-handed.
mean, we still live in a world set up for right-handed people.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so yeah. So
Yeah.
that must influence it
It
somehow.
has to. Yeah.
So I find that really interesting.
Mhm.
But I bet somebody who's experienced in palm reading, just by looking at your hands, would probably be able
Know
to
that.
decide which one. You
Gotcha.
know? But
Yeah.
I just think that's
That's
interesting.
a great point.
Okay, so I have to shout out somebody we love, Eliza Kelly,
Oh yeah.
because I got a lot of my stuff from her.
Oh,
She's just a
nice.
good, trusted source.
Yep.
So the only things I took were free articles that she has out, but she has other things and other courses on this, and she's somebody who does study and do research, and
Oh yeah.
she doesn't culturally appropriate things.
No. No.
So a good source. So I just wanted to shout
Yeah,
her
and
out.
she's like a whole Patreon that you can pay for and do her classes, and
Exactly.
or maybe it's not a Patreon, it's like her coven or whatever.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
can join her group
Yeah,
and
you
get
join
more
the group.
information. Yes. Okay. So I figured a cool place to start with this would be the hand shapes.
Okay.
And they connect to the 4 elements. So I have a picture here, and we can try to post this
Okay.
on Instagram, but I'm going to explain it to you, but I just want to show it to you. So we have earth, fire, air, and water.
Okay.
And I'm going to kind of describe each one to you so you can pick. I'm having trouble figuring out if I'm an air or a water. I think I'm somewhere in between.
Okay.
We can look at each other's. Let me see your hand.
Uh,
Oh, you're like an earth or a fire, I think.
okay.
All right, well, I'll
Oh, yeah.
describe them and you can say what you think.
Okay.
But what I'm gathering, based on the fact that we're both kind of feeling like on the cusp of
Yeah,
two,
yeah.
is that that's probably very
Yeah.
normal and that you probably relate to both of the traits of those things.
Okay.
But I like that you have the two styles that are not my two styles. Okay. So earth hands are like a square palm. Do you have a square palm? A
Sorta.
little squarish. Okay. Short fingers,
Yeah.
firm, solid, and fleshy. You feeling like I'm
Yeah.
describing your hands? Okay.
Yeah.
So people with earth hands are hardworking, logical, pragmatic, grounded, practical, and reliable, but can be too worried about the present and struggle with long-term planning.
Yeah.
It's
That's
kind
a
of,
little bit,
yeah.
yeah.
I feel like that last sentence
That-
hints at the
yeah.
ADHD of
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Fire hands are a long palm and short fingers.
No.
Often have distinctive creases and mounds. They are passionate, confident, industrious, restless, anxious, warm, and action-oriented.
Okay.
I feel like you're in between those two.
Yeah.
I think you have traits of both.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, an experienced palm reader.
Well, yeah, now
would
I
be
want to
able to
read it.
tell you more.
Right.
Yeah, I do too. If there are palmistry people out there,
Yeah, let us know.
please shoot us a message. We'd like a reading.
Yeah.
Okay, air hands. I'm going to hold up my hand so you can decide which one I am. I think probably more of a water hand, but I think I'm in between. Square palm, long bony finger, protruding knuckles. This is intellectual, curious, analytical, and good communication skills.
Mm-hmm.
Intellectual, adaptable, easily distracted, if not stimulated, can become anxious.
Yes.
Okay. Water hands, long palms, long fingers, soft and often clammy, narrow. Also, yes. Right?
Mhm.
Okay. This is intuitive, creative, sensitive, empathic, emotional, compassionate, imaginative, and gets their feelings easily hurt.
Oh.
Also, yes.
Yeah, both of those work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's also 7 mounts
Okay.
on your hand. And so the mounts are like the fleshy areas, and they speak to like your talents and gifts. Sometimes they'll be called planes. So you might see stuff where you're like, oh, that's the plane of one's hand.
Okay.
Okay. So I have a picture of that too. And what do you notice about the names of these areas?
Oh, they're planets.
Yeah.
That's fun. Nice.
Interesting. Look at how everything
things
connects. So I want to tell you about the 7 mounts because these can kind of give you, like if you have these are places to look and they give you
Yeah.
an idea about like what's going on in your life and what to look at there.
Okay.
I'm going to be very general about it, but this is an area, like when I was just reading it generally, I was like, ooh, I would love someone to get into detail with me
Yeah.
about this.
Definitely.
But I think we should take a quick break
Okay.
and we'll come back and do
All right.
that.
All right, Heather. This week, I can't stop thinking about this story I heard from someone.
Yeah.
I cannot name any names or even divulge any of it. But
It's
you know
like
what I'm talking
The
about.
version, I do know what you're talking about. It's like the version, like we say on Facebook, where people would be like
I'm vague booking.
tagging themselves at the hospital.
Yes,
with no
exactly.
information. We're doing that a little.
It's not about me.
No,
No.
but it's because it's the situation that's
Exactly.
interesting. The people,
It doesn't matter.
No.
Right. But they would care if they heard this
yeah.
situation.
If we were using their name, they'd be like, wait.
But it's what people are always asking us about manifesting.
Mm,
And so this situation, I'll just quickly run through it, is that there's someone that's a friend of mine that wanted something to happen, right?
Uh-huh.
But it involves someone else.
Yeah.
And they needed this other person to like sort of move out of their life,
yeah, they needed to freeze them out.
right? So it was like, and I was watching the situation, and it's just interesting how as humans,
Mhm.
and I'm so guilty of this, so please don't take this as judgment. It's probably something you don't ever release either as a human, but like, you can't think of every situation.
I just poked myself in the eye. Sorry.
The
Keep
universe
going.
is like, pay attention, Heather.
What does that mean, Jamie? Okay. Yeah, continue.
Like, if I want something to happen,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, it's either going to have to be this, or maybe this solution.
Right.
There's like a fucking million possibilities, and more often than not, after I get that thing that I wanted, I'm like, wow, I didn't see it coming.
I didn't
like
even
that.
consider that
I didn't think that was a
possibility.
choice. I would have chosen that. I didn't know it was a choice.
That's what we do with our like little human minds, though, right? Like
Right.
I'm guilty of this because control is my drug of choice.
Right.
But like, okay, this is how I'm gonna make this happen.
Right.
Like you said, these couple of ways. Like as if the universe doesn't have like way more ideas and information and ability. Like I'm gonna really figure this one out. But we all feel that way, right?
Yeah, and the problem is that it's manifesting really like sort of effectively manifesting. You have to be in this very strange place of both action, but also surrender.
I mean, it just comes down to
you
balance
have to move
all the time,
right? Like
yes.
This person,
and you have to get that balance right of those two things,
right?
Yes.
And this person had to like make a decision, choose a course of action that was going to be awkward, was going to be hard. They started to move towards it.
Yeah.
And I know that they were very uncomfortable knowing what they were going to have to do.
But they sort of surrendered to the idea.
They allowed the process. They were like, I got to get to point B, so I'm going to move towards it. And then the universe came in and just swept the whole thing away and fixed it like that.
And they didn't have to no confrontation necessary.
Right. And it's not always going to be that easy, quote unquote, right?
Definitely not.
But like, if you have to choose action. You have to choose movement. It doesn't have to be what you always say. It doesn't have to be the right path. There is no right path.
No.
You have to just show the universe that you're ready to act.
Yeah. That's why I always say, like, go do something way in the wrong direction.
Right.
Because you'll find out you're actually in a loop. You're in a labyrinth.
Right.
And you're going to end up at the same place no matter.
Right.
But if you stay still, you're not getting
moving
anywhere.
You're not moving. Right. And then whatever has to happen will happen.
Can I also add something?
Mm-hmm.
I think you're not giving yourself credit. Shocker. That never happens with you. That sometimes having like an intuitive person nearby rooting for you to get the thing you want adds a lot of power to the situation.
Yes.
And you were that person.
Yes.
Not only helping the person surrender and accept, but also pulling in the energy of what needed to happen.
Like energetically trying to shift things around and move things. I think that's actually what people like about me, and they don't know it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
I don't think they could name it, but they know they like
that's what I'm
you.
doing.
Yeah.
Like if you want something and I love you, then I want that for you.
Well, because it's way easier to pull something in for someone else because none of your shit is getting in the
Exactly.
way. You're not blocking it. You're not like your own limits aren't involved, and you're just like. And then it happens for them, and you're like, why can't I manifest that for myself?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, but. So it really just
that,
goes
like,
to
balance.
show. Yeah. So we're all going to go kicking and screaming towards stuff instead of surrendering a bit more. We're all going to do that. But it's just a good reminder to be like, okay, deep breath.
Yes. And
I'm just going to move towards it.
And we're forever still getting messages from people, like DMs from people like, I'm working on manifesting. I'm working on this. I'm working on that, which is great. We should all be doing that. And, but that's just our little, that's my little pro tip. Is like that sweet spot of action and surrender. It sounds awful when you're trying to get somewhere.
Yeah.
Especially someone like me who wants to just kind of like charge at an outcome.
You are the best surrenderer, and I am the best action taker. And so our powers combined, we are Captain Planet. We can do it together, right?
Yes,
like
exactly.
It's
hard though.
The second I'm like, hey, you're just like, damn it, okay.
Yep.
You say a bunch of swear words and then you're fine and you move on and it's shifted instantly.
That's
you know what I mean?
That's true.
But if I'm like, okay, you're gonna have to do these 2 action steps, you're like, give me a month.
Just wait till I'm mad enough.
Yeah. And the opposite's true for me. I'm holding on, like the rope's burning my hands.
Right.
I won't let go. And you're like, let go. And I'm like, no. But then you're like, take an action step. I'm like, I've already done that.
Yes.
Like, so everybody has their way of doing that. And there isn't a right way and there isn't a wrong way. It's just your way. So know which one is harder for you to pull in.
Because then it'll be easier to sort of push and pull where you need to.
Yeah, you know
Yeah.
where to give yourself a little extra support.
Yep.
And hopefully your BFF has the opposite one to make it
Exactly.
a little bit easier.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about these mounds.
Yes.
Okay. Now, again, if you look at different sources,
Mhm.
you're going to see different names for these. You're going to see
Okay.
more. You're going to see
Okay.
less. Like, that's,
That's true of everything. Like
yeah,
anything that we're talking about here, astrology,
yes.
anything. There's always going to be variations.
I think I always get nervous that, because I've seen this happen in real time, they'll be like, someone will say, oh no, I know that there's only 5. And someone else is like, no, there's 7. And the people are arguing on which one is right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're both right.
You know where that happens?
Social media.
Well, no, but like with chakras or energy
Oh,
centers.
yes.
Some say 7, some say literally like in the hundreds.
Right.
We're all right.
Yeah,
It depends on what you're studying. It depends on what you're doing.
it's almost like everyone's applying patriarchal, logical thinking to intuitive matriarchal concepts.
Right, because you're trying to make it science.
It's not science.
It's
There's
not-
science involved.
Right, they certainly overlap and like
Yes.
they explain each other,
Yeah.
but it's not a science that you can like firm up and memorize and then like
Yeah.
force upon everybody.
Right. And that's how people like
They
to
love
digest
it. They
things,
love
I
it.
guess. I
I
mean,
know.
that's what we're taught.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, in these mounds, first of all, when a palm reader, is looking at your hand,
Okay.
they're going to look to see if the certain mounds, I'm going to tell you what they all are rounded and slightly elevated, because that means there's balance in that area.
Oh. Nice.
And then sunken, like if you have a mound that's like a little sunken in, like see how my hand's sunken into the middle a little bit there?
Mm-hmm.
That's a mound. That shows a place that's unbalanced.
Oh.
So there's a lot of verbiage around this where people misconstrue that as like a problem.
Bad.
Or like,
Right.
oh, your future, or this is going to go bad for you.
Right.
But it just means that you need to pull in a little more balance in that area. There's something you're not seeing.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Yep.
And a good palm reader,
Right.
just like someone reading your astrological chart or a medium, is not going to give you a doomsy kind of,
Yeah.
you're screwed forever in this area of life
I was
reading.
just gonna say that. It's like if someone's reading your palm and says you're gonna die or like get cancer or
Just leave
walk
right
away.
Yeah.
it's the same thing with a medium if they say like
You're cursed. We're all cursed. We live in
I'm cursed
America.
with bad
We
mediums.
live in this world. Well, not all of you listening live in America, but I'm
No.
sure your country's annoying too.
Seriously.
It's all crazy.
Yep.
And see our episode on what curses really are.
Yeah,
We have
and like
episodes.
and yes, energetic integrity.
Yeah, and if a psychic tells you you're cursed and you have to come back and spend $500 to remove it, please leave right away and
Yeah.
then message us their name and we'll
And
add
we'll
it to the
yell at them.
list. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. They're also extremely prominent
Mm-hmm.
in, like, if one of your mounds sticks out more or is like stands out, it just means that those are very dominant characteristics for you.
Okay, get to it. Get to the good part.
You're staring at your hand. I have a picture if you want to look too.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one I'm going to talk about is the Apollo mound.
Okay.
So this is beneath the ring finger. Okay.
Oh.
Okay, so for me, my hands are both very different. So
Are they?
yeah,
Oh, mine are pretty. Oh yeah. You have those M's though.
I do.
I see on TikTok all the time.
Okay, so this little mound, I would say, like, if you take your ring finger and you go right beneath it, that
Mhm.
little fleshy part, that's the mound. Ooh, it hurts when I push it. What does that mean?
Death.
Death, instant death. This is the artist and the creative area. Why are you laughing?
Because I have like a divot on both hands in that area.
Ooh,
It is literally like a little.
a little
It's
dip.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no.
Well, mine hurts
Art.
and you have a divot. We need to work on our creative. I have been feeling very drawn to making wreaths again. You know how I go into my wreath phase?
I was thinking about you. I saw a wreath on TikTok. I thought you would.
Was
like
it a
to make.
moon?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Well, please act surprised when you get that for Christmas present.
Okay.
Okay. So next.
Oh jeez.
Oh goodness. We don't know each other at all. Okay. The next one is Luna, which is the moon. So you can see here.
Okay.
This is the bottom of your palm on like the pinky side.
Okay, got it.
This is like very it doesn't really stick out, but it's very fleshy for me.
Yep,
How about
same.
you? Okay. This is your intuition, and it's the visionary element.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Mercury is right below the pinky finger. And that is communication.
Okay.
Mine just looks normal.
Yeah, mine too.
Venus is at like the base of your thumb. So this is the lover and pleasure. This also hurts when I push.
Really?
Yeah.
Does it mean something if you have like lots of lines in that area?
Yes, I will get to lines. I don't
Okay.
know if I'll be able to tell you what that means, but yes,
I got
every
lots of
single
lines there.
line means something. I'm going to tell you the
Oh.
main ones, but like where little lines intersect and on what mounds and how they intersect with the main lines all mean things.
Okay.
So yes. Okay, next is Mars. So that is, there's like a couple different sections of Mars, but there's one on like the outer part of like under your pinky in the middle of your hand. There's one under your ring finger under the Jupiter part, and then the middle, that I said is sunken in my hand, is like the plane of Mars. So I'll tell you those. But in general, Mars is like the warrior and
So
how you're resilient.
Oh, okay.
So
Basically just runs across your hand. Like,
yes.
on
So
that.
your inner
plane.
Mars, which is the one, I kind of call it the web.
Yeah.
That's your
Yeah.
inner Mars.
Yeah.
That's aggression. Look at this web of aggression I have.
Seriously, same.
Oh, you have a webby aggression. Oh, yeah. You have another big line through your.
No.
Ooh.
She's aggressive.
She can be aggressive. She's got a deep divot in her aggression. Okay.
Oops.
The outer Mars, which is like the middle part of like the outside of your palm under your pinky finger,
Yep.
is resilience.
Okay.
That's kind of normalish
get
for
there,
me.
yeah.
Okay. And then the plane, which is the middle of your hand, is your temperament and how you balance your resilience and aggression. So I got a big old divot there.
Yeah, you do. Interesting.
I mean, I also have super hypermobility in my hands.
That's true.
So I don't know how that
Take that
affects
into
it.
account.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there you go. So maybe I need
That's
to
a
work
good
on
point.
balancing my resilience and aggression. I feel like that tracks. You don't think so?
Oh, that's impressive.
I know, but am I not
But you
resilient
think
enough?
more?
Or do I need to be? There must not be balanced super
Okay.
well, right?
All right.
On both of those things.
You're definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Jupiter is at the base of your index finger, and this is your leadership and ambition. Saturn is at the base of your middle finger, and this is you being the scholar and discipline.
Interesting.
These are all pretty normal looking for me. Look at that weird red dot I have in the middle of my hand, though. I wonder if that means something.
I bet.
Hey, palmistry people, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And then, okay, so those are the main mounds.
Okay.
Okay, then we can talk about the lines. You've probably heard of these because it's the headline, the lifeline, the heart line, sun
Yes.
line, and fate line.
Right.
There are also different names for these.
Mm-hmm.
All the same lines. These are considered the main lines.
Okay.
But again, some people will say, oh no, it's this, or you also have to have this line, or we don't count that line. Again, very normal, and
Okay.
everybody's right.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the lines are considered the roads we take in life.
Okay.
So if you had a reader looking at your palm, they would look at the depth of the lines, the length, and the curve, where it crosses, and how the minor lines connect to those.
Okay.
Like especially the location of the minor lines.
Yep.
So this part is the sort of fortune-telling aspect
Mm-hmm.
that we sort of hear about.
Yeah, and I mean
I like when you make that face.
that's sort of what's of more interest.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool if someone can look at your hand and say, like, oh, you've had this, you've had that.
Yeah,
But that's more for people who don't believe in it, who don't trust the process.
that's true. I do think in those aspects of like the mounds,
Right.
somebody could be like, maybe you need to work on your creativity to bring a little more back. So
Right.
that part.
Right.
But yeah, this part is the part that I think most people.
Like, I want to
pay
know
the
more
money
about, like,
for.
what this means and what it means in the future and what I have to work on, because
Yeah.
that's where I'm headed.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree. It also tracks for you. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So the heart line. So I'm
Mhm.
going to show you it on here so you can help me describe it. But this is the heart line here. So it's like the center of your palm.
Yep.
And it sort of swoops from like somewhere in between your pointer and middle finger down sort of.
To the side of your hand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
out to the side.
Yep.
Let me see yours. Oh, look how.
Mine has like a
Divoty
break in
yours
it and
is.
like it veers off a couple times. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ours are very similar.
Yeah. 2 M's.
Okay. So this is the heart line. This is your emotional self.
Okay.
It's also sometimes called the love line.
Okay.
So drastically swooping. I don't think I would say either of ours are drastically swooping,
No.
but that is nurturing.
Okay.
Very straight is stoic.
Mm.
U shape, or it looks like a smile, which is kind of ours, is emotional balance.
Yeah.
I would say we're sort of emotionally balanced, but not quite all the way,
No.
according to our lines. So if it starts below the index finger, that's considered like content in relationships.
No.
If it starts below the middle, it says like more potential for restlessness. Mine starts kind of in the middle of the two.
Same.
Okay, so again,
Okay.
I feel like we're not very exciting. We don't have dramatic palms.
Well, what do we know?
I know, that's true. Okay, the next one is the headline. So Jay, can you see this on the picture? This
Yep.
is like literally right in the middle of your palm.
Yep.
And so it's underneath the heart line. So this is your intellectual energy.
Okay.
So the more angled, the more adaptive and intuitive, the more straight, the more rigid thinking. Let me see yours.
Mine's not straight.
Yours is very swoopy. Mine
Yeah.
is very swoopy too.
Oh yeah.
So cool. I feel like I want to look at people's palms for that.
Also feel like I've never looked at my palm before. Once you start looking at it, you're like, whoa.
I agree. There's so
No.
many lines. Did I know I had all those lines?
I didn't know.
Yeah, okay. Okay, lifeline. So this is underneath the headline. It sort of like goes parallel to your thumb, like down underneath your thumb, like that fleshy part.
Like if you were taking a line from your pointer finger and then going down to like your wrist.
Yes. And guys, Google a picture
this
of
map,
these.
yeah.
Yeah, and you'll see it. I have the one, if you Google Eliza Kelly.
Yeah.
Eliza Kelly.
Kelly,
Oh,
yeah.
I did it right
You
the
did
first
it.
time.
I know, it's all right.
You'll see the picture that we're looking at also. So the lifeline is, again, it's under the headline, and this one does not tell you when you die. So if someone's like, let me look at your lifeline and I'll tell you when you die, they are not,
It's a scam.
walk away. Okay. This speaks to your vitality in your life.
Mm.
Okay. So the depth of the line indicates how much energy you have, richness of experience, and the length is about others' influence on you. So if you have a really long line, it's just talking about the influence other people have on your vitality. If you have a really short line, there's less influence.
I have a short one.
Let me see.
I have short and deep.
Oh yeah, you do have short and deep. Mine's not that deep.
Yours isn't long either.
No.
Wow.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So shorter also means more independence and autonomy, but not as clear vision.
Yep.
Also tracks.
Agreed.
Yeah, okay. Then we have your fate line. So I will show you on the picture, Jamie. But this is kind of like,
Oh yeah.
if you found your lifeline, it's sort of right underneath, to the
Yeah.
side underneath that one.
Yep.
And so that one is, this one evolves and changes over time more than the other ones.
Okay.
Just so you know, your hands change
Right.
all the time.
Right.
So like, are they changing because your life is changing, or is your life changing because your palm is changing?
Exactly.
Or both?
Who knows?
I know. So the fate line is your line of destiny, is also called that. The degree you are influenced by external circumstances is what this says.
Huh.
Let me see yours.
Looks like I started off and then stopped.
Oh
Being
yeah.
influenced.
It's like someone
It was like, yeah,
was
you
like
cared,
really
and then you
pushing
stopped.
down the pencil, and then they just kind of got lighter at the end. Yeah, I
And she
mean,
stopped caring.
mine veers into another line.
Oh yeah.
Very
Interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Also, itchy hands is a sign of upcoming shifts.
Oh, come on.
Do you get itchy hands
All
a
the
lot?
time.
Yeah, I do too. At night.
Yeah.
And
I
I
feel
know
like I
it's
have to
horrible.
like stab it.
Yeah. Itchy
Yeah.
hands are the worst because you
You
can't
can't get in
itch
there.
them. Yeah. Ugh, yeah. All right. Then lastly, we have the sun line,
Mm-hmm.
which is sort of down the bottom of your hand over towards your pinky more, next
Yep.
to the sun line, kind of parallel. So this is your public image, legacy, and fame.
Mm-hmm.
And how it intersects with the fate line explains how influenced by outside or internal factors you are. I feel like this line for me is kind of lame.
Is that mine right there? It's like barely. Do I not have one?
You definitely have one. I don't know, but is it that one? I don't know. We need a palm reader
Help.
to tell us.
Some help.
Ooh, yours is mysterious.
Well, and you know what's cool with technology is that like I should have looked up her name before, but I follow her on Instagram, and with technology, you can just send a photo of your hands.
How cool is that?
I mean, you obviously have to do a good job so they can
Right.
see it and like see the different like
Lighting.
angles and dimensions and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's awesome.
It is awesome.
And then she just sends you back the reading.
like a report.
Yeah,
It's very cool.
I love that.
I think we should get them done.
Yeah,
And then we can like report back in a later episode. We'll also do face readings.
Yeah, I would do that too.
Okay. So the only other thing I wanted to mention is that fingerprints are also red.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really cool because it very much crosses the line with forensic science.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like you can see the connection
Exactly.
between these things. But you can look up what these mean because I tried to figure it out.
Mhm.
And it has to do with like curves and swoops and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But I'll just say, in case anyone knows what they're talking about, I have very, very like loopy fingerprints. I don't know what that means,
Not
but
that I do. I don't.
we should get
They're not
ourselves
loopy.
fingerprints.
They're like,
More swoopy.
yeah, it's like huge. Yeah.
Yeah. So those mean stuff too.
Wow.
So a palm reader is going to look at that. Now, also, palm readers are looking at how maintained your hands are if you get your nails done. Yeah, they're like, wow, you should do
I was
something
just
more with your
noticing how
nails.
dry my skin is around here too.
Yeah, so they're looking at all of that kind of stuff. They're looking at what fingers you put rings on,
Oh.
or if you have them on at all. They're looking at all kinds of stuff
Interesting.
about your hands. They're looking at where they're worn. Like, some people think like, oh, you know, I'm an artist because I have a dent there from drawing. Yeah,
Right.
that's not cheating.
Yeah, no, right.
That's paying attention.
Exactly.
Like, do you know what I mean?
right.
Like,
yeah.
so they're looking at everything. So
Mm.
what I'm saying is when you go to get a palm reading, don't fancy up your hand. Like, go how
As
you
yourself.
would just go.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, like my daughter wears like 1,000 rings.
Yeah.
That probably means something.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like what fingers they're on. And like
Mm.
the length and shape of your fingers are being looked at. Like how your knuckles are. Like everything.
Interesting.
How it intersects to your wrist. Like everything. The back of your hand. Everything is being looked at.
Love it.
I remember you know me, I don't really care for getting manicures and pedicures.
Yes.
It's a little bit too much
Sensory overload.
stuff for me.
You don't
Yeah.
have sensory issues.
No. In fact, I believe I Marco Polo'd you from a tunnel last night when I was driving, and it was
it's
so
too
bright.
Yeah.
I couldn't manage. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of sensory
It
issues.
happens.
But I was getting it done.
Mhm.
I was in a wedding, and that's
Yeah.
what we were all doing. And the woman, I think Riley was not even 2.
Mm.
The woman she was of Asian descent. I
Mhm.
don't know what I should know, but I don't remember. She looked at the back of my hand and said, "Oh, you have 2 kids." And I was like, "How did you know that?" And
Love
she was
that
like, "Oh, I
shit.
could tell." But she was also saying that her mother,
Mhm.
and like it's something that in their culture would put like special lotion so people couldn't tell that you had children
Oh,
based on the
really?
outside of your hands.
Interesting.
Sort of like a weird, youthful,
Wow.
like Botox for hands moment. And I was like, I couldn't care less what the back of I never really thought about what the back of my
Wow.
hands looked like. How often have you worried about the back of your hands?
Well, a significant amount.
Really? Not expect- Why were you worrying about that?
I mean, I'm not worried about it, but I very much have like my grandmother's hands with like the age spots on them.
Oh, okay.
And so for me, it's like, I don't hate it though. I don't
Okay.
like, I don't, it's like,
did you hear that knock when you just said your grandmother's name?
Yeah,
I don't
I
know if
did.
that picked up on
I
the
did.
podcast, but yeah.
It's just like that I'm aging and that I'm becoming her, like
Okay.
in a good way, but I'm
Okay.
very aware of like what my hands look like.
In your mind, are other people judging the back of your hands?
No.
Oh, it's just you.
Yeah. Like I'm just watching
It's sort of like
myself.
a marker for
Yeah.
you. Okay.
Yes.
That makes more sense to me than you being worried that like someone's going to be like,
No.
nice back of the hands,
No,
Jamie.
no,
Maybe
no.
you should get some plastic surgery on those puppies. Because
Like, I
like,
should probably moisturize them, but like
Well,
beyond that,
we know you have issues with
do.
moisturizing. I see our previous episodes. But
Yeah. no. I mean, I think it's very interesting.
I
Like,
do too. Even just how much time and energy you spend thinking about your hands.
Right.
I would say minimal for me
Very.
until my nails get to the wrong length, either too short or too long, and then I can't think about anything else. But again, I don't have any sensory issues.
Oy.
But I also wonder, I bet it means something that you are connecting the back of your hands to your grandmother.
Yep.
And that you're very focused on that. I bet there is a connection to that.
Probably.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope that some palm readers send us some messages because I'd love to hear from them.
Same.
And go check this stuff out and tell us if you feel like it tracks for you or if you've ever had a palm reading, how that went. I'd love to know that.
Yeah, and I tried to look up that page. I couldn't find it.
To scan your hand in?
Yeah, but
Picture.
when we post this map in the
Yep.
stories,
Yep.
I'll tag
Perfect.
that page so people can see it.
Okay, sounds good. All right, let's go get some coffee and
Some
see
moisturizer.
if some moisturizer for your hands and see if our palms change while we drink coffee.
Okay.
Okay.